we meet again at last. The circle is now complete.
What's the world coming to?
Well, you got a problem with what I did, Anthony?
No. Hey, no.
Fucking rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Stupid bastard. I can't fucking believe it.
Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking line. You're gonna do it.
Yes, I'll take the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simple evil.
Jesus Christ. Mister, you okay in there?
Let's eventually caught things around here someplace.
Hey everybody and welcome. It's April 11th, 2017, and I am Chris, coming to you live from the library. I'm here as always on behalf of Cinephellas.com, the only place for all your cinephilic needs. You know, when you take a step back and really consider the impermanence of life, it can be overwhelming. We're only here for a very short time, so we really have to appreciate things that last. That's why I'm really excited to say that this week on Cinephellas.com, the website will be posting its 100th video. Now, considering the endless amount of pop culture and entertainment websites out there that just flounder under the pressure of staying relevant or just fizzle out because the editors think it's all too heavy and they just decide to take their jobs at Sizzlers, it's pretty impressive that Cinephellas is reaching 100 video reviews, and that's not to mention all the other content that's there. This is a true labor of love, and it's a great time to dive into the website's archives and see where it's going to go after this turning point in the next 100 videos and reviews, transcriptions, podcasts, whatever else the animal becomes. So check out Cinephellas.com today, and also follow Cinefellas on Instagram for a new series of posts curated by our fearless leader Logan, in which he exhibits the pop culture collectibles that our gangs accumulated over the years at conferences, conventions, and just in general. But let's get to the show, shall we? Alright everybody, so today I've got an interview with Luc Annest. He's the writer, director, and producer of the film NOLA CIRCUS, which hits theaters April 21st and becomes available on video-on-demand platforms and iTunes April 25th, 4 days later. Now, I have to admit this up front, I'm a little insecure about this one. Luc and I had a great conversation, that's not what I'm insecure about, but the audio was a little spotty on his end. Now, I was recording on speakerphone, so I could pick up all the audio, and unfortunately, the connections that we get are sometimes like third-party lines, so they don't always come through clearly. Plus, Luc has a deep French accent, which makes some of his pronunciations a little difficult to understand. But we're going to go with it. I listened to it several times. I debated transcribing it, but I have faith in all of you out there that you'll be able to listen closely. So the timing of this interview was perfect because I just flew to New Orleans about a week ago, a week and a half ago, right after our conversation was recorded. Yes, it was for a bachelor party, and we had all the prerequisite craziness that goes on in those situations, from people getting arrested to others getting hit by cars. It was fun all around in those areas. But I was most excited by the music. Now, if you've read some of my work, you know that I'm a huge music fan, and I especially love soul music. And obviously, music is a huge part of the New Orleans culture and its history. It helps tell stories about race, cultural mixing, and politics. So it was interesting to talk to Luc about how he used a wide range of music from jazz to blues to funk to soul to pop to country to rock in order to tell a very layered story in NOLA CIRCUS. Anyway, that's just one of the many things I had the pleasure to discuss with him. So have a listen, and I'll be on the other side. Hello?
Hi, is this Chris?
Yep. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Cool. Well, I have Luc, the director of NOLA CIRCUS, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm all set. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Luc, you're on with Chris.
Hey, Luc, how are you?
Okay, we go.
How's it?
Christopher?
Hey, yeah, how's it going, sir?
Okay, very good. And you're good?
I am good. Thank you very much for asking. Do you mind if we jump right in?
Sorry?
Okay, so let's just jump right in. All right. So the first question I wanted to ask you, at first I wanted to say I loved the film. I thought it was really funny and smart, and that's a rare combination these days.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool. So I know that with this film you wrote, directed, and produced it, right? So how was that experience different from other projects that you've worked on?
You know, it was very, very different because it was my first feature here in America, in a foreign language, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, when you used to work in Europe, mainly in France, it's not exactly the same way of making movies, So it was funny, and it was also funny because it was the first time I was working with in New Orleans, of course, but in the Afro-American community,
Mm-hmm.
So it was very funny to see that some script I wrote, in my mind, in New Orleans with that community, and to be faced to real people over there was very, very interesting. So the main difference is probably that we don't exactly have the same way of making movies from France to America, and specifically indie movies.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you, being that the film concentrates mainly on an African-American community in New Orleans, did you feel any pressure as a white writer to understand the community any differently?
No, not at all, but to me, NOLA CIRCUS is not an Afro-American movie, you know what I mean? It's a kind of a cosmopolite comedy, but for all audience, and I didn't get any complication with the Afro-American over there, but I didn't get no worries with the crew or with the onions or whatever,
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Some people, I heard that sometimes it was a bit complicated over there because of the unions or because of an indie movie or because of the crew or because you don't understand 100% the language or whatever, but at the opposite, I felt that a lot of people over there really helped me to make the movie. It was very good for me that.
So it was more like a collaborative effort then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So your female character is a white woman named NOLA, and I was wondering if, since that's an abbreviation for New Orleans, Louisiana, I was wondering if you were going for a certain symbolism with that character.
The female characters are very, very important in NOLA CIRCUS, of course,
Mm-hmm.
And specifically the role of NOLA, acronym of New Orleans, Louisiana, of course. and it was very all the script, is based on that character, little French white girl, in the middle of the black community, and making them getting totally crazy, because she's fresh, she's beautiful, and so because of the reality of his brother, you know what I mean. So this is really the character, the central character of the script, of course, and I really want that the other female character, Karen, probably the female characters in NOLA CIRCUS are probably my favorite one, because they are especially NOLA and Karen, the combination of the two girls. When you get Karen plus NOLA, you probably got the perfect human.
That's really interesting too, in the way that you tell their story. So, for instance, I was really fascinated by the way that you use the titles as the kind of breaking up the segments, and I was wondering if that was in the script or if that's something that you added later.
Sorry, I understand that. What kind of scene exactly?
So for instance, the way that you have the titles, like ketamine is one of them, and the way that it breaks up the action on screen.
Everything was in the script first,
Mm-hmm.
and all the job was consistent to turn that into something credible, because in this kind of comedy, you really are on the borderline, because if you go further, it might be too much, so you're not very credible, and if you're not on the right position, it can be not really funny, That everything was all the lines and all the situations were clearly written in the script,
Mm-hmm.
and all the work was consisted to get the edge of just to get the comedy, just to get the comedy and to be fun. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that really comes through. Another really interesting device that you use is music in the film, and I love the way that everything, it ranges from like classic New Orleans jazz to funk to pop to blues, pretty much all different music is incorporated. And I was wondering, how important was it to you to use music in communicating your story?
First of all, I think that soundtrack is a 50% of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we all make the experience to take a scene, and just to try to choose to pick this kind of music or the other kind of music, and you can see that the scene is totally different and sometimes opposite, but it's the same picture, So it was crazy. And first of all, I was thinking that because it was at New Orleans, and because of the brass band, and because of the jazz and gospel New Orleans, the first idea was clearly to say, okay, right, let's do something in this way. But very quickly behind that, I was thinking that I should find a French composer, and I wanted to make something a bit more different,
Mm-hmm.
because the idea with this comedy is to say, to try, it's a comedy coming from different influences, but not only for the soundtrack, but because I'm French and I'm making a feature in America, because of the crew, because of the different communities, because of the producer as well, because there are 12 athletes from a lot of sports, So all the process of making that movie, behind that, the idea was to gather different people, different communities, different way of making movies, and try to do something, and the result is NOLA CIRCUS, For instance, my favorite comedies is Italian comedies, from the 60s, what we call commedia all'italiana, with the filmmakers like Rizzi or Mario Monicelli,
Mm-hmm.
and the movies like Easy Life or Big Deal and Minor Street are probably two of my favorite comedies ever. So, professionally speaking, I'm quite coming from those comedies, and with NOLA CIRCUS, the idea was actually to take those Italian comedy codes and use them into an American comedy taking place in the Afro-American community. And it was very interesting to combine all these influences to get something fresh and hilarious. But not only my influences, but the influences by the composer, the crew, the actors and actresses, and whatever, So it was the movie coming from a lot of different influences, and my work has been constructed to gather every influences to make a movie credible and funny. Because in a comedy, you make a comedy to make people laugh. At the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
About 1 minute left.
Cool. Yeah, just to wrap up, I just wanted to say I think that the feel of the film is something that viewers will really respond to, because as you said, you digested all those influences in a way that seems very fresh and original.
Okay. Exactly.
Cool. And so just the last question I have for you is, what advice would you offer to any up and coming writers and directors that want to get started in a business and create a film that's as innovative as the one that you made with NOLA CIRCUS?
For what? What about my influences of what?
So what advice would you give? What advice would you give to, up and coming writers and directors that would like to make a film as innovative as the one that you did?
So I'm not sure to understand very good, Christopher. So sorry about it.
Oh no, just in general, would you offer any advice to young writers and directors?
Invite?
Yeah.
Invite for what? For my next movie? Sorry.
Yeah, just artists that want to get started writing and directing. Do you have any specific advice for them on how to do that? Maybe a way to sort of find their own voice, that type of thing.
To me, how can I say that? To me, it was as a young director, and specifically because this is my first movie in America, it was interesting to try to be I don't know if you can say that in English, but to be blank,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean? I mean, virgin or whatever, and in my mind, the idea to come here and to do that, for the first time without any idea about what I will come here to do was good for the movie. I don't know if I answered well to your question.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think just the theme of that you keep saying about just coming to it with a fresh perspective, I think that's very important.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
All right, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, and I look forward to seeing how the film does.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, too. Thank you, Christopher. Take care.
All right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. That wasn't so bad, right? I know we're spoiled with all our audio technology now. We want everything to be pristine, nice and clear, beautiful. And I know this interview wasn't the most ideal in terms of audio, but I think it was okay, right? And really, wasn't it worth it to go on that adventure with Luc and hear about his experiences and his unique approach to filmmaking in the United States? I think so. And I think deep down in your heart and your soul, you do as well. Again, check out NOLA CIRCUS when it hits theaters on April 21st and becomes available on video-on-demand platforms and iTunes 4 days later on April 25th. I give it 4 3/4 out of 5 hair pieces because it keeps you laughing and throws you in some interesting directions along the way. There are just some surprises in there. Plus, there's many layers of symbolism from the characters to the imagery and, of course, to the music that create this very innovative process of storytelling. So I know I keep coming back to music here. I wanted to close with a song that I discovered during my trip last week to New Orleans, and I really hope you guys are going to like it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I love soul music, and I did some of my research in graduate school on Motown, specifically their finishing school, which helped a lot of the performers put a certain aesthetic together. So for instance, when you see the men like the Temptations and the Four Tops in the early days, they're always wearing their meticulous suits, and the women, of course, are dressed in evening gowns and have long gloves, etc. So I'm a huge fan of this music, and what I particularly like about New Orleans soul and funk is that it's a little swampier, a little dirtier, and especially when you compare it to its cousins coming out of Philadelphia, Detroit, and Memphis in the late 60s and early 70s. So I found this really great song called There's a Break in Every Road from 1969 by Betty Harris. And as we groove out, feel that? The groove's coming in. Oh, it's creeping in. As we groove out, I want to remind you that this is Chris. Don't forget to share a movie with someone you love, and also don't forget to leave a funky comment on our website. I would love to hear from you. See you next time.